I'm Star2D2 and welcome back to my book nook. I still have some books on my TBR and I thought maybe, and by some I mean quite a few, it was my fault because I added a whole manga series to my March TBR. I'm really competitive and I have big ideas at the time when I make my TBR, and then when the time comes around to actually do it, I get sidetracked and start mood reading 10 other things because keep in mind, I've already read 37 books in March, but only half of the TBR from my March TBR video. That's an issue, and we're gonna fix it in today's video. Basically, I'm gonna give myself 24 plus 24 is 48 hours to read the rest of my March TBR. Let me just show you the books. This is what we're working with for this month. The first one is the Cozy Garden on the Moon sci-fi book called Moon Soul. Then we have Death Between Stars, which is a sci-fi romance about two people who go ghost hunting on a spaceship. And then we have 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin, which I'm so excited to read this. All 3 of the books in the series have won the Hugo Award, and I've read her writing before and it is fantastic. And then we have the second book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I'm just excited to continue on with it. And then the last book we have is The Women by Krista Hanna. I read The Nightingale last month. I loved it, so I am looking forward to reading this. I just don't know if it's gonna be sad. I've read a lot of sad books here lately and I just don't know if I want to read another one, but we're gonna, because I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish it. And besides that, I still have the rest of the Fruits Basket manga. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish all these in 48 hours, but I'm gonna try. I'm going to try because I want to get Team Paladins for the Realmathon. I want to get us as many points as possible in this 48-hour period. I have 13 manga to read and these 5 books. Can I do it? I don't know, but I'm gonna try and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. It'll be a mix of this and IRL clips. I hope that's okay. I'm going to start with the 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. When I have something to tell you guys, I'll come back here and give you an update. Hello, it's the next day. I finished the 5th Season yesterday. It was a bit more of a complicated read than I thought it was going to be, so it took me the whole day of just kind of going back and forth between the audiobook, immersive reading, and then reading the physical book because my hold actually came in from the library for the audiobook, so I was really excited for that. So I was able to flip between them, but the second person kind of caught me off guard with one of the POVs in the book, so I couldn't really listen to that part because I don't know why. It was just easier to read it than to listen to it, but it was so good. I think the 5th Season is one of the most unique fantasy books I've ever read. 5 stars. Oh my gosh, read it. If you like non-linear storytelling with a bit of like, I don't want to say elemental magic, but one of the characters is something called an origin, and they can control the seismic activity of the planet that they're on. There's 3 main POVs in the book, and one is a mother whose husband killed their son, and you learn that within like the first couple of chapters, and it is devastating. And then there's another one. She's a little girl and she has these powers. She's the origin, so she has these powers that need to be trained because they're extremely dangerous, and if she doesn't express her powers, she can die, or the powers are very deadly and can kill other people, so she has to be trained to know how to control them. Origins are used as weapons. There's like this caste system, and origins are like at the very bottom, but they need them. And then the third one was this woman, the third POV, this woman who is a breeder. The world is especially unique. It's so cool. It's like this world where there are these seasons, and every season a cataclysm happens. I hope I explained it correctly because there were points where I was a little lost, especially in the first 30% of the book. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this. I think it's going to be another Garden of the Moon situation where I'm just like, what? And then something magical happened after I got past that first 30% and I started really getting seated in the world and really started understanding everything. Everything just started to click. When everything started to click and I was understanding the magic system, the world, the different POVs, I was 100% in it. It was so good. I can see why this trilogy, if the other two books are as good as this one, I can see why this trilogy, all three of them, won the Hugo Award consecutively. I am so glad I stopped being intimidated by it and picked it up. And the plot twist in it too, I kind of expected it, but not really. And I don't want to tell you guys what it is because I don't want to spoil it for you. So you just gotta read it to find out. I just when I read, especially that last page, I was just like, or last two pages, because I remember it was like down here and then up here, and I was just like, what, gobsmacked. I was just gobsmacked. It was so, oh my god, I can't sing enough praises for it. I just had so much fun reading it. I can't wait to pick up the next two in the trilogy. If I didn't have so many reading plans for the end of March, I would just go straight into them, which brings me to last night before bed. After I went to bed, after I finished the 5th season, I started Death in Between the Stars, and this is a sapphic sci-fi romance. It's a good in-between from the complicatedness of the 5th season. This one is a bit more straightforward. I love it. It's so good. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so I was just able to read it on my Kindle before I passed out. So I got like 4 chapters in, and we met our 2 main characters. They do have a web series, and they're going on this old generational ship that humans use to come from Earth to this new planet that they're on. They're going up to that generational ship because there was a tragedy on it where a whole bunch of people died. It was still able to keep going, so it's like it's really haunted. Like the ship is rusty and crusty, but it can still travel the cosmos. And before the ship goes to get repaired, it goes to a new planet to get repaired and take more humans to a different planet. These 2 girls are given one last chance to do like a haunted paranormal activity show to see if it's haunted, and one of the girls is trying to get the other girl to convince that ghosts are real, and this is their series finale before they kind of go off and do their own thing. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great. I hope it's spooky. It's kind of, there's like mentions of moving shadows and stuff, so I hope the spooky element is done well. If it is, and the romance, I think it's gonna be good. I'll let you guys know more about Death Between the Stars when I read more. For now though, I'm gonna start the 2nd book in the Dark Tower series. I'll give you an update on that when I know more about it. Also, I'm going to be going to Barnes & Noble. I'll see you guys when I have a little book haul for you. Okay, hi. I didn't get any clips inside the store, but here are the books that I got if you want a haul. We got The Traitor Queen. This is the 2nd book in the Witch Kingdom series. And then we have the 2nd book in the Underwild series. This is a middle grade series. It's kind of got like Greek mythology and stuff, and it's really good. I like it. Then books 3 and 4 in the Beast of the Briars series. Also, look at how fat this is. That's so fat. I really like this series. It's just fun. And then the 3rd book in the Bobaverse series. I like these. These are really fun. I think if you like Project Hail Mary, you would like these books. They give off similar vibes. And then the new Abby Jimenez book. I can't wait to jump into this one. That's my little haul. Back to reading Stephen King. I finished The Drawing of the Three. That is the 2nd book in the Dark Tower series. I'm so conflicted about the Dark Tower because I don't know whether I like it or I dislike it. On one hand, I think it's really cool. I think it's a really unique type of fantasy. The writing in the 1st book was really lyrical and really nice to read. It was nice to read. It was confusing as all heck, but it was nice to read. And in the 2nd book, it didn't quite match the writing of the 1st book. It was like almost like 2 separate authors wrote it, but not really. That's kind of how I feel about the whole series. It's like when I'm reading it, it makes absolutely 0 sense. I'm confused the entire time. But then when I finish the book, it makes absolutely complete sense and I understand what's going on. It's like all these random things jumbled together that makes a story, but I don't know if it's a cohesive story, but it is a cohesive story. I don't think anything I'm saying makes sense. I feel like that's echoing how I feel about the Dark Tower so far. Written in, I think, the 80s, and that was when Stephen King was on drugs. I think he was that reflected in his writing from the things that I've read about that time period when he was writing books. And a lot of the writing feels really pulpy, but then I have to remember the 80s had a lot of that, especially with horror and Hollywood and stuff like that. So Stephen King was obviously a forerunner of horror in that time with like Pet Cemetery and Carrie and all that. The writing matches the time. I always try to keep that in mind when I read certain books, especially older books. I try to keep in mind the time that they were written in, so it doesn't affect how I rate the book objectively. I try to look at it objectively. I'm not saying that I think it's right or anything like that, especially with a lot of the things that Stephen King writes, especially from the 80s. In particular, to Dark Tower, there's this character named Odetta, and we meet her. She is a black woman and she's disabled, and the way Stephen King describes her and the way he handles her makes me feel very uncomfortable. I don't know if that was his intention when he was writing her, and I don't think things should be handled in books with little kid gloves, but I do think authors have a duty to handle things with a lot of consideration, and it just doesn't feel like the way Odetta's character was handled with a lot of thought and consideration. It was just kind of like a mishmash of stereotypes slammed together. My point is while I'm trying to keep in mind the context of the time that this book in particular was written in, I'm starting to get really extremely frustrated with Stephen King's apparent lack of care when handling certain types of subjects, especially around women. It's making me not want to really read any more of his stuff after I finish The Dark Tower, which is shocking for me because I love his horror books. So it's very shocking for me, but I don't know. I'm not interested in that type of writing anymore. I feel like the more I read, the more picky I'm getting, and my interests are changing, which I think is a good thing. It means I'm growing as a reader. Yeah, that's that. I read more Death Between the Stars, which is the sapphic sci-fi romance. We got introduced to Cassie. She's a ghost that's on the ship that the two main characters are on, and she has this little dog. It's a three-legged dog, and it's so cute. He like thumped his tail, and our two main characters heard it, and it freaked him out. It was so cute. And basically Cassie died very mysteriously. People think that she was murdered, but our two main characters are going to use their show to find out more about Cassie, and there's a mystery surrounding her death. I think it's really cool. I really like that one. It's a good palate cleanser between all of these more heavy or more confusing fantasy reads that I've been doing. And then I started The Women. I think I'm about 60% through it, and I am frustrated at the characters in the book. Not the book. I'm enjoying the book. It parallels a lot with stuff that's happening in current events in the US right now with our international stuff that's going on, like overseas in the Middle East, where there's a lot of frustration between the people and the government and whether this stuff should be happening or not. The Women is about this young girl named Frankie. Her brother is sent to Vietnam. She is desperately wanting the approval of her father. She wants to be seen as successful, and her parents are very much like, gotta pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get to work type of parents. There's a lot of like traditional values, like they want her to go get married and have kids and blah blah blah, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants to go to Vietnam so she can get on her father's hero wall that he has in his office. She wants him to be proud of her. She wants both of her parents to be proud of her, and she thinks she can do that by going to Vietnam. And before she goes, they get news that she's lost her brother. That really helps shape her character and how she approaches things when she arrives in Vietnam. The first part of the book, it felt like I was just being told this happened, then this happened, and then when she came back home, I think this is where Kristen Hanna really shines with the writing. She's really getting into like what happens after the soldiers come home from Vietnam. Just for context, in U.S. history, the Vietnam was a very frowned upon war by the people that were from back home, and also women were not to be believed to be in the war. They weren't believed to be veterans, and they were there. There were nurses that were helping the soldiers that were blown apart by the weapons and stuff. They deal with as many traumatic things as the soldiers did, and they obviously have PTSD. They come home with that, and they're not believed to be suffering. And when, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but why I really love Frankie. She's not afraid to ask for help. And then when these women were trying to ask for help, people didn't believe that women were veterans of the Vietnam War. And it was so frustrating to read some of the stuff that Frankie's going through with her parents, with a therapist and doctors and the people that were supposed to be her support system. I was literally just getting mad at the book, and I almost just started crying because I was just like, are you kidding me? Really? I don't know when The Women was wrote, but wow, it is echoing a lot of the sentiment, especially in part 2, of the disapproval that the people have for the wars that are that the US is taking part in now versus when it was in Vietnam and the underreporting by the media and stuff like that. So it's echoing a lot right now. I'm not finished with the book, so I'm gonna finish it and I'll come back to you guys with an update. And I apologize if sometimes I get a little bit too into politics and current events on this channel. I hope it doesn't bother you guys. I tend to edit actually quite a bit of what I say out of my videos, just because I don't want to bore you guys. Ever since I've started reading, I feel like I've been, which I think is a good thing, I've been looking at the news and what is reported a lot more critically than I used to, and not taking everything as to face value. And I think about things a lot more, probably more than I should. I don't know. It's really frustrating. I'm so frustrated with everything. So part of me hopes to connect with maybe others, maybe some of you guys that might feel as frustrated as I might, and maybe you can find some new books that will maybe not help solve the frustration, but make you feel a little bit more understood, that someone else out there, even if it's just a character in the book, understands you, because I don't want to feel alone. That's why I make videos and stuff like that, is because I don't want to feel alone. I'm gonna go finish The Women and give you guys an update. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish Fruits Basket before this video ends. I've needed a lot more sleep than I thought I would. I didn't want to like sacrifice my sleep or anything, so the reading is going a lot slower than I initially thought it would, but it's okay. I'm still having a lot of fun. I hope this video is fun. But yeah, I'm going to go finish The Women and the rest of the books. I'll come back to you guys when I have an update. Yee! Well, I finished The Women and it was a 5-star. I really liked it. I learned a lot from it. I was kind of left a little shocked because I cannot believe that I just learned about the Kent State stuff that happened in 1970 from a historical fiction book. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because that's just kind of the nature of reading. You're gonna learn stuff, especially in historical fiction, if the writer does their due diligence and bases it on actual things that happen. I think I really need to read more historical fiction because I've learned so much from Krista Hanna's books, and I know there are probably a lot more historical fiction that I could read that would teach me so much more. Anyway, yeah, Women was 5 stars. So good. I'm done reading a lot of really hard-hitting books though. I need some fluffy romantasy, so last night I decided to try to pick up the Legacy series. That was a mistake. I DNF'd it. I read about 300 pages to get enough for the read-along, but I couldn't read it anymore. The characters in that made me so mad, especially Theon. He's this thing called a legacy. They're essentially gods, and they have to pick a fae. They're called selected, so he picks a fae who is unwilling. Her name is Tess. She is unwilling to be a selected. The selected are basically these magic conduits that the legacies siphon from, but the selected also get access to the legacy's magic, but they are subservient to the legacy. The selected are. Theo tells Tessa that he can't say, or that she can't say his name in a formal setting. And when she tries to say it, she'll go Theo, but instead of saying Theo, she'll go she can't do it because he told her not to. And we're supposed to be rooting for him when he gives her permission to eat a donut? Excuse me? That is not a fun romantasy. And I understand it's supposed to be dark. I went in expecting it to be dark, but even in mafia romance, dark romance, there are sunny spots where I'm just like, yeah, okay, like, you know what you're getting into and you fully expected things to be kind of unhinged. But in a situation where the female main character, in my opinion, where she is completely just under the whim, unwillingly, never wanted any of this, unwillingly under the command of a man. No, I don't like those. I don't want them anything where near me. I don't want my eyeballs to consume them. So yeah, I DNF'd. I don't recommend it. That might sound a little bit harsh, but I don't care. I don't like it. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys. On a brighter note, I finished Death Between the Stars. I really liked that one. I think the romance in Death Between the Stars, it was excellently done. A good slow burn with a very satisfying spicy scene at the end. It was so good. Definitely recommend that one if you want more of a feel-good story. And then I also finished Moon Soul. I really liked that book. book. The only thing that kind of kept me from giving it like a 4-star is that a bit of the phrasing of the writing in it was a bit repetitive. It did smooth out as the book went on, but that was just something that it just kind of took me out of it a little bit. But there are a lot of beautiful quotes in there about community and wanting a sense of belonging, and the character just felt really burnt out. It was a nice cozy read, so definitely a lot more happy than the other books that I was reading. I did not finish Fruits Basket. I didn't even start. I have the first one read, but that's it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this before the end of February. I'm just not in the mood to read manga. I finished all the main big books that I had on my TBR, and most of them were in this video, so I'm so happy. I have a alphabet challenge for next month that I've already picked out all the books for. I think that'll be my next video, going over those and doing a You Laugh You Lose challenge to get my official April TBR. So those are kind of the videos that, and of course the wrap up for this month that you can expect next month. I feel like on this channel I've been posting every other week. It's just what I can do right now to be able to keep up with everything, because I want to start doing daily uploads on my gaming channel, but I also want to keep up with my reading. Reading is my priority, like reading and writing. I was thinking maybe I could start doing writing videos to talk about my book on this channel, because I'm starting over again. I think this will be my 4th draft, and I'm just restarting the whole thing because I know the story I want to tell now. It went from a romantasy to a just like a epic fantasy, and then I was like, no, I want the romance in there, so I made it romantasy, epic romantasy, and I was like, no, I want like this game thing in it too. So now it's turning into a mashup of different genres: sci-fi, romantasy, lit RPG. I don't even know if I'm writing this to market. I don't care. I'm just writing what I want right now because it's really fun, and it's a story that I want to tell. Like, I'm so excited. Like, Sarah, our main character, she's an elf healer, and she feels so fleshed out now. I'm absolutely in love with her. And our male main character, I'm in love with him. He's a golden retriever. He's got brown hair, brown eyes. He's like these big old puppy dog eyes. I just love him so much. I hope you guys will love him. He's sweet and tender, and he yearns for her so freaking much, and they go through literal hell in my outline. And I can't wait to take them to hell and back. And then there's this overarching plot of taking down the system that is really prevalent in Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I wanted to kind of write about that in my book in my own way. I'm using a lot of my own experience with being a pro Overwatch support player, raiding guilds back in the day in World of Warcraft, where I was a holy paladin. We did a lot of mythic raiding back in the day. I'm using that experience from being a support player and pouring it into Sarah. And they say write what you know, and I never thought I could take my experience from being a support player, like a healer in video games, and insert it into the book that I want to write. And I think I love this. I think it's something special. I hope it is. I hope if it ever gets into your hands, whether it's through a self-publish, this might be able to be traditionally published. I don't know, but I just hope that whenever you guys get your hands on it, you love it as much as I do, because I'm in love with the characters in the story, and I know I'm on the right track now because I'm so excited to get to writing it. And I'm starting it over because I want it to be a bit more polished now on this draft. I'm just going to be taking pieces from the other drafts and kind of mishmashing them together, and also a lot of new prose and stuff put in there to make it the story that I want it to be, that I know it can be. And my writing has improved so much, and there's a lot more that I need to learn. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect, and there's a lot of writing techniques I still need to learn, but all I can do is just keep learning, keep writing, and keep improving. And even if with this book, if it's not my best, the next book will be even better because I'm still learning. So I don't know, I'm just so excited about this. I'm probably gonna make more content about writing and probably do the TBR videos and wrap-ups and the 24-hour challenges. I think those are the most fun videos that I like to do. So yeah, I hope you are having a wonderful reading month, and if you're participating in Realmathon, paladins are the best. We're gonna win. Ooh! Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!